You know those times, maybe in a meeting or even just chatting with friends, when you feel like there's something else going on under the surface?
Absolutely. That push and pull.
Yeah, exactly. Like unspoken rules about who gets heard, who has the influence,
Power dynamics, they're everywhere.
and understanding them. Well, that can really be a huge advantage, right? Whether you're prepping for a big negotiation or just, trying to figure out group dynamics.
It's definitely about getting sharper, seeing the strategies behind the interactions, not just reacting to them.
And that's what we do here on the deep dive. We grab a source, often something dense or maybe even a bit intimidating, and we pull out the key, actionable stuff for you.
Making it digestible.
Right. And today, we're digging into a really well-known one, Robert Greene's The 48 Laws of Power.
Ah, yes. A fascinating, sometimes quite controversial book. It pulls examples from, well, centuries of history.
And it's packed with anecdotes, different strategic angles. He also cites his sources pretty thoroughly within the book itself, which is helpful.
It grounds the ideas, even the provocative ones, in historical context.
So our mission today, our deep dive, is basically to give you a shortcut through this.
Yeah.
We've picked out several key laws, ones that offer these timeless strategies for handling tricky situations, professionally or personally.
Think of it like getting a peek at the playbook. And maybe, just maybe, spotting when someone's using one of these plays on you.
Exactly. And what's really interesting is how these laws can suddenly make you go, aha, about things you've seen people do, behaviors that suddenly make a bit more sense.
It shifts your perspective from just watching things happen to understanding the why behind them.
Okay, let's dive in. First up, law number 6, court attention at all cost.
The basic idea, being invisible is being powerless. You have to be seen somehow.
Appearances are critical. Greene uses the example of Louis XIV and his finance minister, Fouquet.
Right. Fouquet threw this incredibly lavish party, trying to impress the king, show off his own status.
Big mistake.
Huge, because Louis understood spectacle better than anyone. He saw Fouquet's party and basically said, "Hold my beer." He then built Versailles.
Using the same architects and designers Fouquet used, but on a scale that just completely eclipsed him.
Exactly. Fouquet's bid for attention actually led to his ruin because he dared to outshine the Sun King, even accidentally.
And it's not just about positive attention, is it? The book brings up P.T. Barnum.
Oh yeah, Barnum was a master. He absolutely understood that any attention, even negative, could build fame. Like that time in Annapolis.
Where they mistook him for some scandalous reverend.
It wasn't flattering, but it got his name in the papers, kept people talking about him. All publicity is good publicity in his view, or at least usable publicity.
And then there's the angle of mystery. Not being flashy, but being intriguing.
Like Count Lustig, the con man. Greene points out how he created this air of mystery, made mediocre things seem profound just by being enigmatic.
Sort of like Mata Hari, maybe? Or Duchamp in the art world, that aura they create.
Precisely. It draws people in, makes them pay attention, gives weight to what you do or say. So the takeaway is really about crafting a memorable image, whatever that means for your situation. Stand out.
Okay, so attention is key. But then Law 12 gets a bit more, well, sneaky. Use selective honesty and generosity to disarm your victim.
Ooh, yeah. This one's about how a single calculated act of kindness or truthfulness can pave the way for later deception. It lowers defenses like nothing else.
Because constant lying makes people wary, but a sudden act of generosity, that catches them off guard.
Greene uses the art dealer Joseph Duveen as an example. His role in helping Andrew Mellon set up the National Gallery of Art seemed incredibly generous, right? A gift to the nation.
And it was, for the public.
But it also handily helped Duveen's wealthy clients deal with inheritance taxes. And, crucially, it massively boosted Duveen's own reputation and influence. A very strategic generosity.
It wasn't just altruism, and it happens on a smaller scale too, right? That story about Giselle.
Ah, the rigged boxing match. Yeah, Giselle gives one of the guys a loan. Seems like a nice gesture, maybe helping him out.
But it's part of the setup.
Totally. It makes the other side feel a bit indebted, maybe less suspicious when things start to look fishy later. That one unexpected nice act is a powerful distraction.
It plays on our instinct to trust people who seem honest or kind, even if it's just once.
Exactly. It creates a blind spot, makes you less likely to look for the hidden motive.
Which leads nicely into Law 13. When asking for help, appeal to people's self-interest, never to their mercy or gratitude.
This one is pretty blunt, isn't it? Forget about past favors, forget about pity. Focus on what they get out of helping you.
It's pragmatic, Maybe a little cynical.
Perhaps. But Green argues it's realistic. Look at the Athenians deciding whether to ally with Corcyra or Corinth.
Corinth appealed to history, emotion, loyalty.
Yep. But Corcyra offered a strategic advantage: ships, location. The Athenians went with Corcyra. Why? Pure self-interest. It strengthened them.
Makes sense. And the Genghis Khan example.
Brilliant. Yeluchutai wants to stop Khan from destroying China. Does he plead for mercy? Talk about cultural loss.
No, he talks money.
Exactly. He lays out how much Khan could make from taxing the population instead of slaughtering them. Appealed directly to Khan's practical self-interest, way more effective.
And Duveen again, with Mellon, hiring Mellon's staff first.
That wasn't just about getting intel. It was about understanding Mellon's deepest desires, his concerns, what made him tick. So when Duveen did make his pitch...
He could frame it perfectly in terms of what Mellon wanted, not what Duveen wanted.
Precisely. Trying to guilt someone or relying on them feeling sorry for you, usually a weak strategy. Show them the benefit, the what's in it for me, and you've got their attention.
Okay, moving on to Law 29. Plan all the way to the end, thinking ahead.
And not just one or two steps, really thinking through the consequences, the potential fallout, right to the very conclusion.
Like Bismarck in 1850. His speech sounded aggressive towards Austria.
Yeah, very assertive. But behind the scenes, he knew Prussia wasn't actually strong enough for a war right then. He saw the potential disaster down the road.
So the tough talk was strategic, but his real plan accounted for the long-term reality.
Absolutely. He was playing chess, thinking several moves ahead, considering all the possible reactions and outcomes, not just reacting to the immediate situation.
Contrasted with, say, Christopher Columbus.
Right. The book suggests Columbus was so focused on the discovery itself, he didn't sweat the details of his contract.
The fine print.
Exactly. And that oversight, that failure to plan for the financial endgame, cost him and his family enormously in the long run.
So it's about avoiding that tunnel vision on the immediate goal.
Green contrasts strategic thinkers like Bismarck with impulsive types who act first and only then see the mess they've made. Real power often lies in anticipating the ripples, not just making the splash.
Okay, nearly there. Law 36. Disdain things you cannot have. Ignoring them is the best revenge.
This one's about emotional control, really. The idea is if you obsess over something you can't get, or an insult you can't erase, you give it power over you.
Like chasing your shadow, as the book says.
Yeah, it's a simple analogy, but effective. The more you chase it, the more it eludes you, and the more energy you waste. Ignoring it is how you break free.
What about Pietro Rotino, the guy who faked his noble background?
Right. So when the truth came out that he was from a humble background, what did he do? Did he argue, deny, try to defend himself?
No, the book says he just ignored it, went silent.
Exactly. By refusing to engage, he starved the scandal of oxygen. Getting angry or defensive would have just shown everyone that it bothered him, that the revelation had power. Silence suggested it was beneath him.
So indifference becomes a weapon.
A very powerful one. It signals that the slight or the thing you supposedly desire but can't have doesn't actually matter to you. That drains its significance.
Interesting. Okay, last one we're covering today. Law 41. Avoid stepping into a great man's shoes.
Ah, the burden of legacy. This is about the challenge of following someone really successful or famous.
Their shadow's just too long.
It really is. If you try to just copy them, you'll always be compared, usually unfavorably. Green points out you often need to achieve twice as much just to be seen as their equal.
Like Louis XV following Louis XIV, the Sun King.
A classic example. Louis XV inherited this incredible kingdom, immense prestige. But he couldn't really establish his own identity, his own brand, if you will. He lived in his predecessor's shadow and, well, things declined.
So it's not about ignoring the predecessor, but finding your own way.
Definitely. You have to carve out your own niche, create your own identity. Napoleon III is an interesting case.
Nephew of the great Napoleon Bonaparte.
Right. He obviously used the name initially to gain traction, but once in power, he deliberately cultivated a different style, managed public perception carefully, so he wasn't just seen as Napoleon Light. He established his own era.
So define yourself on your own terms. Don't let the predecessor define you.
That's the core of it. Build your own foundation, make your own mark. Otherwise, you risk just being a footnote to someone else's story.
Wow. Okay, so wrapping up this deep dive into just a few of the 48 laws of power. Quite a bit to chew on.
Definitely. We've touched on needing to manage appearances, court attention.
Right, and that strategic use of honesty or generosity.
Yeah.
Which is ethically complex sometimes.
Very. Then appealing to self-interest, not just hoping for goodwill.
The crucial need for long-term planning, seeing the whole board.
Mm-hmm. And the surprising power of indifference, just ignoring what you can't have.
And finally, that challenge of forging your own path, especially if you're following someone significant.
It really provides a kind of framework, doesn't it, for seeing these power plays in action. Whether you want to use these ideas yourself or just get better at recognizing them when they're used around you or even on you.
That's the key takeaway, I think. It's about awareness. So, as you go about your week, maybe keep an eye out. Which of these laws jumps out at you?
Have you seen Law 13 appealing to self-interest in a negotiation recently? Or maybe Law 36, someone using indifference effectively?
Yeah, just observing these dynamics can be really insightful. It helps you understand human behavior a bit better, maybe make more conscious choices yourself.
Absolutely. It adds another layer to how you see the world, the interactions you have every day. Makes you think.